There's a lot of myths out there about the tax-free threshold box on the tax file number declaration, and how can one box cause so much confusion? Today, I'm here to completely eliminate any confusion so that when you're filling out this form, you know exactly what to do, and if you've got it wrong, I'll also explain how you can fix it. Hello everyone, my name is Rooshock. I'm an accountant here in Australia, and I get a lot of questions about the tax-free threshold box on the tax file number declaration. A lot of people ask me, hey Ethan, what do I do? Do I tick yes? Do I tick no? And there's so much confusion. They go, oh, my friend said this, my other friend said this. It's so much conflicting. It's a yes or no answer. So I really want to make it nice and simple so that you'll know in your situation what you should do. And if you stick around to the end, I'll explain what happens if you've got it wrong and how you can fix it. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video. So what is the box? Well, it's on the tax file number declaration. So when you start a new job here in Australia, you fill out a tax file number declaration. And this is all about so your employer knows how much tax to withhold each week. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens behind the scene as far as different tax tables, etc., depending on what boxes you tick. Most of this form is just your basic details, your name, your tax file number, your address. Now, the big question though that everyone gets confused on here is, should we claim the tax-free threshold? And the answer is going to be, it does depend on your own situation, but it's pretty clear on whether it's a yes or no. So even though it will depend on your own situation, you need to check your own advice. For most people, there's going to kind of be a few buckets you fall into that determines whether it's a yes or no answer. So for people that are just working one job, they've got no other income, it's going to be yes in nearly all situations. You're going to want to claim the tax-free threshold because you've got nothing else that will go into your taxable income. So throughout the year, you'll earn income from your employment, and you want to tick this because it means you'll have less tax withheld. The goal of ticking this, and if you've got no other income, is you should have the right amount of tax withheld across the whole year, especially if you're earning consistent income, and therefore, depending on how much deductions you've got, etc., you should come out pretty square when you lodge your tax return at the end. Now, before I get too far into this video, I do want to say my goal for 2023 is to get to 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do, or share the videos around. It'll really help me get towards this goal, and I just want to keep making valuable content for you. Anyway, let's get back into the video. Where it gets a little bit more complex is when you've got a second source of income. So whether that's a second job, or whether it is an investment, or whether it is even Centrelink income. When you've got multiple sources of income, you do run the risk that if you're claiming the tax-free threshold from whichever job you're filling out, is that going to be enough tax withheld to cover that, plus potentially any shortfalls from the other employment or the other income sources? So this is why the ATO normally suggests in most situations to only ever claim the tax-free threshold from one job. Because if you're working multiple jobs, you want to make sure that only one of them is claiming that tax-free threshold. Because otherwise, the first 20 odd grand that you earn is going to be tax-free under the no box. And therefore, if you've got that on 3 jobs, you could suddenly earn $60,000 a year and have no tax withheld. So you don't want to be in that situation. Versus if you go yes on one job and no on the other 2, you will have tax withheld. So that's what you're trying to avoid, the situation where you've earned way too much and not paid enough tax. And then when you lodge your tax return at the end of the year, you're going to owe a lot back. Now, if you are working multiple jobs, the question obviously comes up, well, which job do you claim it at? Normally, my advice would be claiming it at the one you're earning the most from, because this is the one that's going to have the most impact on. So especially if you're working one main job and the other job's just a small one on the side, if you claim it on the one earning the most money, it means you're going to maximize what you're going to get from that job. Because most of the time, like I've talked about, the goal is to increase your net income each week, rather than have a massive amount withheld from this main job and, you know, less from the second job, but overall have less money each week and then get it all back at the end. You'd rather maximize what you're getting each week from the combined jobs and just have a smaller refund at the end of the year. Now, there is one situation where you could tick it on multiple jobs, and that if you know your total earnings will be under the total tax-free threshold. So currently that's $18,200. If you earn $5,000 from 3 jobs, you can actually tick it on all 3. So if you know, look, I'm working 3 jobs, I'm going to earn $100 a week from them, that's not going to change. You can actually tick it on all 3 because you don't really need any tax withheld. And the reason why you would not want any tax withheld is it means you've more got cash each week. And especially if you're on a lower income, that extra cash each week is likely going to help you a lot rather than waiting to the end of the year to get it back at tax time. And that's what a lot of this is about. It's about trying to get the right amount withheld each week. It's the reason why the ATO have these 2 different rates, the yes to tax-free threshold or the no. It's all about getting you to have the right amount of tax withheld each week so that when you get to the end of the year and lodge your tax return, that you should come out about square. And this is so that you've got as much money each week based on your earnings. You don't want to be earning $1,000 and having $700 taken out in tax. well, you'd get it all back at the end. It just seems a bit silly that you could only have, say, $200 withheld and have the $800 versus $300. Like, you just want to maximize your earnings each week because then you're in control of that money. You can save that money if it's too much. Or maybe it helps you cover those bills so you're not stressing week to week. Now, I did promise at the end of the video, I'd tell you what would happen if it goes wrong. So if you have ticked the tax-free threshold on multiple jobs, you really want to get this fixed ASAP. So go and talk to your payroll and ask them, look, hey, on whichever job that is your lowest paying job, get the no box done, get that sorted. And otherwise what will happen is you'll continue to pay a shortfall in tax. You won't have enough tax withheld each week. And then at the end of the year, you're going to likely owe more money back because you're not going to have paid enough tax. Now, if you have ticked no at multiple jobs or even just your one job, well, the worst case scenario here is you're just going to get more tax back at the end of the year. But I would still recommend, if you're wanting the extra funds ongoing, go and chat to payroll, get it updated. They're the ones that need to fix it. It's not the ATO because they're not the ones holding the money. It's your employer. So go and chat to your payroll department there and say, hey, look, I've stuffed up. Can I refill out a form because I need to tick the tax-free threshold box? They can adjust that. And then from your next pay run, you can get that right amount paid to you each week rather than having the excess tax withheld. Now that you've learned a bit more about the tax-free threshold box, go and check out the video I've got about second jobs because I dispel some of these myths in further details there. I appreciate you watching and I'll talk to you again on the next video.